What's up, a cinemashogun here, and there is so much going on in the world right now that I feel like we have lost focus on some things. Or, how can I put this? With the war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, with the war going on with Israel and Hamas and everything that's going on in the Middle East, with the fact that the U.S. is kind of secretly preparing for war in South America, and of course, the overlooming threat of China, I feel like we have been focused so much on Russia, on Iran, on China. I feel like we have been focused on them so much that we have lost focus on other things. Other things such as, North Korea. I don't know about you all, but North Korea has always scared me. Obviously, they're not as big of a threat as, say, China or Russia, but they are more unpredictable. They're more unhinged. I don't necessarily think that China or Russia would conduct a preemptive nuclear strike on America or our allies. However, I wouldn't put it past North Korea. North Korea is a country that you have to worry about because they're reckless. And they're already used to kind of being more shut off from the outside world. Therefore, sanctions and things like that, they don't work against them in the way that they work against other countries. And because they're so sheltered from the outside world, I think that makes them more dangerous because they're not really answering to anyone. They don't really care. There's no huge alliances there. There's no really agreements or settlements or, prior or obligations. There's no obligations there when it comes to North Korea. So they're a country that I feel like you have to really watch. And of course, we have a lot of military in South Korea. And of course, if North Korea ever launched an attack against South Korea, it's basically the U.S. is going straight to war. So it's always been something I worried about. And for a while there, things were really, really bad with North Korea. It looked like we were about to go to war with them. In fact, if you were to have talked to me, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I probably would have predicted that we would have already been at war with North Korea by now. That's how bad things were. But then, things settled down for a little bit. Things quieted down. And you didn't hear much from North Korea for a while there. But recently, things have been heating back up and tensions are at an all-time high. I probably should have made a video about this, but like I said, I was focused on all types of other things. But recently, North Korea launched their first spy satellite. And they have been ranting and raving and celebrating over the fact that they have taken photos of the White House and military bases and stuff with this spy satellite, right? Now, when you hear that, of course, we know that this technology exists. We know that the U.S. has spy satellites, Russia has spy satellites, China, various countries in Europe. We know these things exist, but you see, countries like North Korea, they didn't have access to stuff like this. North Korea hasn't had a spy satellite. They finally launched their first one, which, by the way, is against the rules that have been set up by international committees, but do you think North Korea cares? No, they don't answer to anyone. They fired off their spy satellite. So now they have access to this new technology. And even though all of these other countries have spy satellites and other countries that are our enemies have spy satellites, this is more dangerous in certain ways because, like I said earlier, North Korea is more reckless. It's more unhinged. I think North Korea is more likely to do something stupid as opposed to Russia or China. I think Russia and China will be more calculated in their moves, whereas North Korea could lash out at any time. But now, just this morning, North Korea fired off another rocket, a ballistic missile that landed in the Sea of Japan. Now, of course, North Korea does this every now and then, but they have been ramping up these missile launches lately. What did Trump used to call Kim Jong-un? Rocket Man. He's been sending off rockets a lot lately. He's been amping up the production of missiles and nuclear research. And just, I think it was Friday, there were these meetings between Japan, America, and South Korea about the possible nuclear threat of North Korea. And now, after North Korea fired this ballistic missile this morning, America basically threatened North Korea with nuclear war, saying, hey, an attack against the U.S. or an attack against South Korea or Japan, our allies, will lead to the end of the Kim Jong-un basically era. We're going to wipe them out, okay? We will wipe out your leadership, basically, they said. And they said that nuclear war was not, off the table. That they are willing to take it there, basically, folks. Straight up said it. Just straight up went ahead and just laid it out there on the table. So that's where we're at right now. I want to go ahead and dive into this article to see what else is going on here. North Korea fired a ballistic missile toward eastern waters. North Korea on Sunday fired a short-range ballistic missile into the sea, South Korea said, in a possible display of defiance against the latest steps by Washington and South Korea to tighten their nuclear deterrence plans against North Korean threats. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the missile was fired from an area near the North Korean capital of Pyongyang at around 10:38 p.m. The South Korean military said it was sharing the launch information with the U.S. and Japan to further analyze the details while maintaining readiness against the possibility of additional North Korean military and nuclear activities. It criticized the launch as a clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions that ban North Korea from using ballistic technologies. Tensions on the Korean peninsula are at their highest in years, with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un accelerating the expansion of his nuclear and missile program and flaunting a nuclear doctrine that authorizes the preemptive use of nuclear weapons. The United States, South Korea, and Japan have responded by increasing the visibility of their trilateral partnership in the region and strengthening their combined military exercises, which Kim condemns as invasion rehearsals. North Korea's latest launch followed high-level security talks between America and South Korean officials in Washington over the weekend, where they agreed on plans to update their nuclear deterrence and contingency strategies and incorporate nuclear operation scenarios in their combined military exercises next summer to cope with the North's evolving threats. Shortly after the launch, North Korea's defense ministry issued a statement condemning Washington and South Korea's move to include nuclear operation scenarios in their joint drills, describing it as an open threat to potentially use nuclear weapons against the North and vowing to prepare unspecified offensive countermeasures. The North Korean ministry also criticized the U.S. for increasing military deployment and deploying major military assets to South Korea. South Korea has been seeking stronger reassurances from the U.S. that it would swiftly and decisively use its nuclear capabilities to defend its ally in the event of a North Korean nuclear attack. The North has test-fired more than 100 missiles since the start of 2022, as Kim used the distraction by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine to speed up the expansion of his military nuclear program. The weapons that North Korea tested in recent months included intercontinental ballistic missiles that demonstrated a potential range to reach the U.S. mainland, and a series of launch events the North described as simulated nuclear attacks on targets in South Korea. Last month, North Korea also launched its first military reconnaissance satellite, which Kim described as crucial for monitoring the U.S. and South Korean military activities and enhancing the threat of his own nuclear capabilities. Washington and its allies have also expressed concern about a potential arm alignment between North Korea and Russia. They worry that Kim Jong-un is providing badly needed munitions to help Russian Vladimir Putin wage war in Ukraine in exchange for Russian technology assistance to upgrade his nuclear-armed military. So there you have it, folks. That's what's going on with North Korea right now as we speak. And look, here's how I see it. I'll try to keep this short, simple, and sweet. It appears to me that our enemies have been sitting back for years, buying their time, just waiting for the perfect time to strike. And it appears that they have chosen now, that this is the time. I don't think that it's a huge coincidence that all of this stuff is happening at once. We have what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. We have what's going on with all of that stuff in the Middle East, with various countries in the Middle East. Some of them I can't even pronounce. We have what's going on in South America. We also have what's going on with Taiwan and the Philippines and, with China. And now North Korea is acting up as well. The way I see it is war is coming. It's inevitable. We can hope, we can pray, we can keep our fingers crossed, but it's coming. We're surrounded at this point in a way, not like literally, but we, the U.S., and our NATO allies, if you will, but more specifically the U.S., we have put ourselves in a position to where no matter what, war is coming. We've put ourselves in a position to, okay, maybe things die down in Ukraine, right? But then we have the conflict that's going on in the Middle East. Let's say things die down in the Middle East. Then we still have what's going on in South America. Let's say war doesn't break out in South America. We still have the threat of a Chinese invasion in Taiwan. Let's say China decides to wait. Well, we now have this new nuclear threat in North Korea. We've put ourselves in a position to where it's almost inevitable that we're going to have to wind up fighting somebody soon because we have so many enemies. We have our hand in so much stuff around the world that it's just inevitable. Like, we can't escape this fate. We may dodge a bullet in Ukraine. We may dodge a bullet in the Middle East. We may dodge a bullet here. But something's going to draw us in. We're simply involved in too much stuff. So much stuff that if anything pops off in the world, the U.S. is involved. If someone were to attack, like, how can I put it? We're aligned with so many different countries in the world that if something even pops off between these other countries, that America is obligated to get involved. So the way I see it, like I said, war is inevitable. It's coming. We don't know where it's going to start first. We don't know if it's going to be NATO confronting Russia and Ukraine. We don't know if the U.S. is finally going to strike Iran because of all of the proxy wars and all of the different proxy militias around the Middle East that are attacking the U.S. military right now in Iraq and Syria. There's just too much going on. And to think that we make it out of this without war, that to think that, oh, there's a peaceful solution to all of this, maybe we find a peaceful solution to one of these altercations, but to all of these, no. We've backed ourselves into a wall. And I think that the years to come are going to be very, very crazy unless something drastically changes. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via CashApp, or you can donate to the channel via Super Thanks. Or for free, you can help the channel in many ways by liking, subscribing, ringing the notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with all of that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.